guys, because we already have Gogue's expert opinion and analysis available already on our YouTube page, Warweek Radio on YouTube.com, because we already have Jermell Charlo versus Sergey Derevyanchenko available on YouTube already for your listen, we are going to focus and start off the show focusing on the headliner, the showstopper, the fight that's slated last, Jermell Charlo versus Jeison Rosario in a unification bout for the WBC, IBF, and WBA Super Welterweight Championship. Gogue, this may or may not be a brilliant matchup. I have a feeling that it will, but this is a really, really good matchup against two very, very willing fighters to bang in the pocket. Your thoughts on this matchup, sir?
It's going to be a great fight. Like I said, styles makes fight. And like we talked about earlier, Joe, earlier, since he's been training with Derek James, he's become a more aggressive physical fighter, in the mold of his brother. He's not like a cutie pie when Ronnie was training him, where he didn't take a lot of chances, played it safe, just fought at range and distance, tied you up and held you a lot when the fight got transferred to the pocket. Now he's fighting like that in his last fight for Harrison. Boy, he had to really, buckle down and press the action and outfight Harrison, okay? Because Harrison was really winning the fight until, Jermell dug down and pulled ahead going into the later rounds and everything and eventually stopped him. But this fight is, he can't be like his brother. At this fight, he better be very smart and intelligent because he don't want to fight Rosario's fight, Joe. Okay, when you fight in these big fights, Joe, the fighter that executes his game plan, fights his fight, is the guy that usually wins, okay, when it's even, when they're evenly matched. And Charlo, to him, he's got to go back to his old Charlo self, being cute, fighting from long range, not taking a lot of chances, 70% of the time, using the sweet science, applying the sweet science of boxing, hitting and not getting hit. But 30% of the time, he's got to get this guy's attention, okay, and respect, and not let him, overpower him like Rosario likes to do. So, to me, there's got to be times he's got to pick his spots when to be physical, and he's got to pick his spots 70% of the time where he's got to fight it from range and distance, and box, feint, combinations, move. You know what I mean? Don't get caught on the ropes, stuff like that. Just fight a smart, intelligent fight and everything. And he'll beat this guy because that other guy, he's not he's strong, physical volume puncher, and he's got heavy hands. But he's not I don't think he's intelligent and athletic as Jermell Charlo. So yeah, like I said, it's a good fight on regular TV, not pay-per-view.
Well, let's take a look at the tell the tape for Jermell Charlo. He's going to be age 30 going into this fight. Can you believe do you remember when they were fighting in the amateurs, Gogue? The Charlo twins?
Yeah, I've known them since. I know the kids since they were like 14. In fact, when I was at the
amazing.
WBC.
Yeah, when I first met him, he had just turned pro and started working with Ronnie Shields. I met him actually on press row when I was covering Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. versus Peter Manfredo Jr. And that was at the Reliant Arena in Houston, Texas. And I first met him, and I mean, I had heard of him through Ronnie, but I just met him that day, and he was such a humble, kind young man. And it's amazing how different their personas have become since, they've become champions.
Well, Joe, I know them guys since they were 14-year-old little kids in Willie Savannah's gym, fighting in the amateurs. Yeah, they grew up, they came from Willie Savannah's gym. The program, with Juan Diaz and Regis Progress, they were little kids, 14 years old, 119 pounds. And when at the WBC convention in in the Cancun, I seen Jermell, and we started talking, and he goes, man, he started telling his friends, man, he's known me ever since I was a little kid. I said, yeah. All his entourage. He goes, oh man, he known me since I was famous and everything. He knows me when I was a little kid fighting in the amateurs. I said, yeah, you did. When you're 119 pounds and you only had a handful of fights. But like I said, time flies by, man. And get this, Joe. When it was time to turn pro, Jermell turned pro because Golden Boy wanted to sign him, but they didn't want to sign Jermell. I don't know why. I don't know what the problem was.
I remember that.
Yeah, Jermell didn't sign pro he didn't turn pro for a while. In fact, when his brother would turn pro, I made a lot of his matches. Jermell coming up, and I would see Jermell there and everything, and I say, hey, when you going pro? He goes, oh, not yet. I haven't made the decision. So after 5 or 6 fights, he decided to turn pro and still didn't have a manager. I mean, still didn't have a promoter until he started getting more fights and everything. So yeah, it's weird, Joe. It's weird. I always knew they were good fighters, but they just needed the opportunity.
That's right. It's all about opportunities. Remember that, fans. Next time you're trying to talk about which resume is better, it's always contingent on opportunities. Trust your eyes and trust what you see in the ring. So let's get back to the tell the tape for one Jermell Ironman Charlo. He's going to be entering the ring at age 30. My goodness. He fights out of the orthodox stance. He stands almost 6 feet in the center of the ring. He fights behind a 73-inch reach. Originally from Richmond, fights out of Houston, Texas, and he comes into the ring with a very impressive record. 33 wins, 1 loss, 17 big wins coming by way of knockout. Now, it's funny, and this is the monkey in the wrench, the fly in the ointment, right? What you addressed earlier, Gogue. Since leaving Coach Ronnie Shields, and that was a lot of unnecessary drama a couple of years ago. And I'll tell you this story off the air sometime, Gogue.
Oh yeah, I know the story.
Yeah, since leaving Coach Ronnie Shields, he went on to train with Errol Spence Jr.'s trainer, Derek James. And you're absolutely right. Do you think that could be his undoing in this fight, or do you think that Jermell can exercise that kind of discipline in the most important fight of his life?
He better, because if he tries to fight a total physical fight against this guy, he's fighting this guy's arena, and this guy's a puncher, and he's in shape, and he's physically strong, and he's got a good chin, Joe. Okay, so advantage Rosario. He's got a small. He can't fight his fight. Like I said, Joe, when you got a good matchup like that, evenly matched, it's a guy that executes his game plan with the discipline. Okay, for 12 rounds. I don't think this fight's going to end soon. I don't think it's going to be a knockout. I think it's going to be, unless Charlo gets knocked out. I think this fight's going to go the distance and everything. So he's got to execute his game plan in an intelligent, disciplined fashion, okay? Don't get involved with slugfest with this guy. That'll be his downfall, just like Julian Williams.
Boy, but, it's funny. Working with Derek James, you see some improvements of Charlo Actually's ability to fight in the pocket, where J-Rock, as accomplished and as proficient as he is, he has some holes defensively on the inside, which is why he got knocked out by Jermell's brother a couple of years ago. So looking at the odds, Gogue, I want to get your take on this. Looking at the odds in this fight, this is a bit surprising. According to Fox Bet, right, Jermell Charlo is listed as a 4-1 betting favorite. Jeison Rosario is listed as a plus 300 or a 3-1 betting underdog. Now, the last major fight that we saw on August 22nd, in which the favorite was a minus 400, he was knocked unconscious.
Yeah.
And that was Dillian White, favored over Alexander Povetkin. Could we see that on September 26th?
Oh, yeah. Like I said, Joe, Jermell, if he doesn't stay disciplined and fight an intelligent fight, and if he tries to get in a slugfest with this guy, if he makes some mistakes defensively, especially when he's on the ropes and trying to fight this guy on the ropes, he gets hit by this guy. This guy can hurt him and everything. So, like I said, Joe, this game is about intelligence, okay? Executing your game plan, calm and poised. Okay, it's not a street fight where you're just going, going out there and throwing punches out of anger. It's composure and poise and be intelligent, and outthinking the other guy. It's a chess match out there, Joe. If he does it intelligently, yeah, he'll make the fight a lot easier. But if he doesn't, yeah, all it takes is one punch by this Rosario.
Indeed, boy, he's a big, strong guy, and he was originally a middleweight when he first turned pro.
Strong
let's take a look at the tail of the tape for the current IBF and WBA champion, Mr. Jeison Rosario. He's going to come into the ring at age 25 from the Dominican Republic. He fights out of the orthodox stance. He stands almost 6 feet tall in the center of the ring. He fights behind a 70-inch reach, fighting out of Miami, Florida, originally from Santo Domingo, Dominican Republic. He has a professional record of 20 wins, 1 loss, 1 draw, and 14 big wins coming by way of knockout. And this is something to behold. This is almost a tale of two fighters, Gogue. When he was campaigning at 160 pounds, yeah, he got his first professional loss at Nathaniel Gallimore, against Nathaniel Gallimore. And as soon as he started competing at 154, yeah, he just started knocking everyone out. And he blames that on his lack of discipline before. Now that he's, kind of redefined himself and started acting like a professional fighter, he's now able to make 154 pounds comfortably, he says, and he is focused, and he feels like he is the best junior middleweight in the world. Your thoughts, what are the strengths and weaknesses of Mr. Jeison Rosario?
His natural God-given gifts, his physical size, his strength, his punching power, his good solid chin, his conditioning. Okay, Joe? He doesn't really have, I don't think he has high elite level skills. You know what I mean? It's good, but not, exceptional. But just his God-given physical gifts, I talked about, which makes him a world champion and everything. So them guys, Joe, you ain't got to be the prettiest or the smartest thinking fighter out there, or the the most intelligent when you got those God-given physical gifts. Okay, he just got to be himself, be a fighter, and I suspect Charlo's going to be moving a lot, so he's got to cut the ring off, not follow him around the ring, cut the ring off, close the distance intelligently. By working that good jab. And Joe, how do you prevent Charlo from moving? Put him on the ropes, get him on the ropes, keep him on there, and so he's a stationary target, a punching bag, and make him fight. See, when a guy like Charlo's on the ropes, I don't think he's skilled like a guy like James Tony that knows how to fight off the ropes. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So what happens if he tries to fight off the ropes, he's going to get caught. Okay, because fight on the ropes, Joe, you got to have a high degree of skill because it's a danger zone. There's a high chance you're going to get hit. But if you're like James Tony that knows how to fight off the ropes, well, guess what? You could use the ropes to your advantage, set traps. Okay, exploit your opponent's openings. Okay, his over-aggressiveness, stuff like that. But I don't know if I've never seen Charlo have the skill level or the skill set to fight off the ropes. Okay, because he's going to have to, Joe. Because this guy, eventually he's going to pin him. What Charlo will probably do, he'll probably smother him, time him up, and hopefully if he got Kenny Bayless as a ref, break, take him back to the center of the ring. You know what I mean? He's gonna. Honestly, Joe, it makes a difference on who you have as the ref. If you got somebody like Kenny Bayless that breaks the action early when he gets in tight, and he doesn't give the fighter the opportunity to fight out of it. Oh, it makes it so much easier for a guy like Jermell. Just grab and tie and hold him, smother him, clinch him, tie him up, man. Break. And a guy like Rosario will never get into a rhythm because every time he tries to get inside, like Maidana did against Mayweather, every time he gets inside, break. You know what I mean?
So what are the chances then, Gogue? Well, Gogue, what are the chances then? What are the chances of someone like Jay Nady or Robert Byrd getting this assignment?
It's in Connecticut, so you got those judges over there. I don't know how I can't remember how they are. It's in Connecticut, so. Yeah, under the Connecticut Commission, they'll probably bring some guys in from New York. I have no idea. You know what I mean?
Well, we'll keep everyone posted because so far the judges or the ref haven't been assigned for these matchups yet. It should be assigned tomorrow. They usually do it in the beginning of fight week. So we'll keep everyone posted. But Gogue, once again, go over the keys of victory. Keys to victory for Jeison Rosario. What does he have to do to proficiently cut off the ring, close the distance, and work effectively against Jermell Charlo when he does have him against the ropes?
Look, before you get him on the ropes, you got to put him there, okay? And it starts with footwork, Joe. Implying intelligence starts with footwork, lateral movement, and a good jab, okay? Cutting his escape routes. That's what you want to do. You want to cut Charlo's escape routes. Him pivoting around you, either from the right-hand side or the left-hand side. Every time you close in the distance, Joe, Rosario ain't smart enough to use feints. He's just a big, strong, physical fighter that likes to come forward. But, if you use feints, it would make it a lot easier, when you're closing the distance, because he'll freeze Charlo from counter-punching him. You know what I mean? He'll freeze Charlo where he can't counter-punch him coming in. But he still could use a strong, powerful jab, to close the distance. And he's got to close it quick, too, with fast footwork. He can't be a slow, plodding fighter, and where Charlo, uses his quick footwork to maneuver around him. He's got to use quick, fast, short chopping steps behind a good jab to close that distance. And once he closes the distance, just let his hands go, whatever's there. The uppercuts, the hooks, the straight right hands, whatever's there, you know what I mean? But keep him pinned on the ropes. I would keep him pinned on the ropes and make Jermell make the mistake of fighting out the ropes, okay? Because like I said, when he's fighting out the ropes, his defense ain't that good. There's going to be some openings. And, if he hits him, Joe, I can't see him winning this fight if he gives Jermell the real estate, meaning the center of the ring a majority of the time. See, when you're in the center of the ring, you fans out there listening, you got real estate. When you're in that center of the ring, you can move in and out of range. You got more room to work with. But if you're in that corner, your real estate advantage is gone, and you become a punching bag. And that's going to be advantage Rosario, because Charlo ain't got elite level skills like Tony to fight off the ropes. Oh, hell no. Yeah, you know what I mean? And me personally, I think he'll just smother and time him up. You know what I mean? He'll be a fool to be like Antoine Douglas. Remember him, Joe? He fought Kirchhoff.
Oh, poor Antoine Douglas, man.
Yeah, he tried to fight Kirchhoff when he was on the ropes. He had no clue on how to do it. He was wide open for those bombs Kirchhoff hit him with, and that's what happens. That's one thing I noticed 90% of the time, Joe. They don't know how to fight fighters don't know how to fight on the inside. 90, more like 95% of the time. Fighters don't know how to fight in the pocket, or they don't know how to fight on the ropes. Because when you fight on the ropes, Joe, it's just like fighting in the pocket. Okay, there's no space. Okay, you got to use the same fundamentals when you fight in the pocket, like you do on like when you're fighting on the ropes. You got to use the same fundamentals like when you're fighting on the pocket. Chavez was a master. Julio was a master fighting fighting off the ropes. Watch when he fought Edwin Rosario. Oh, he used the ropes to his advantage. Played with him, played possum with him, made him miss a lot. Then when Rosario quit firing those bombs, that's when Chavez went on the offense. Intelligent fighter when he fought on the ropes. People don't realize that, the multiple skill sets Julio had. And fighting out the ropes was one of them, okay? But like I said, not too many fighters out there. Tony is one of them, man, know how to fight off the ropes, a real good and everything. Floyd was a good defensive fighter off the ropes, okay, not offensive. But Tony was both. He was an offensive fighter and defensive fighter. And that's rare, Joe, okay? That's very rare in boxing. And Charlo, I don't think he has those skill sets. So that's where he has a higher chance of probability of landing that big punch to hurt him. Because he ain't going to win a decision, Joe, if not if Charlo fights his fight, which is, control the ring, the center of the ring, get that, has that space to move and maneuver, box, feint, combinations, set traps, step back counters and all that good stuff, and move. But if he doesn't have no place to move, like on the ropes or in the corners, well, that's when Rosario has a chance. But he's got to take advantage of that, Joe. He just can't let Charlo, smother him and tie him up. That's his fault. If he lets Charlo do that, that's his fault for letting him do that, okay? He can't let Charlo do that, let him tie him up. He's got to make Charlo fight, okay? So let's see. The guy that's going to execute his game plan better, Joe, is going to win the fight.
Well, Coach, you're exceptional at teaching a fighter how to keep an opponent from wrapping you up. Because one of the things that frustrates me a lot when I watch some of these young fighters, they seem like they're willing participants. Anytime someone leans in for the clinch, they just go ahead and allow it. What are some tactics that Jeison Rosario can implement to keep Jermell Charlo from wrapping him up on the inside?
To prevent a guy from tying you up, when you're closing the distance, Joe, put that jab in his face. Put that jab in his face. And once you get in range, when he tries to reach out and grab you, keep your elbows tucked in and your hands up by your eye. Don't give him nothing to grab. You notice, Joe, when fighters nowadays, when they get in range, when his opponent reaches out to grab you, he reciprocates and puts his hands out there. Like they want to kiss and dance, like they want to kiss and slow dance. Okay, he reciprocate and throws his hands out there. And what happens when he does that, Joe? The other guy just ties you up, but don't give him nothing to tie you up. When you get in range, put that jab in his face. Hard jabs or touch jabs, just put it in his face. Then once he gets that distance, keep them elbows tucked in nice and tight with his hands up, okay? And have a good fundamental stance inside, which is always setting your feet good, bending the knees, keeping that left shoulder pointed, right? Don't be squared up because you're going to get hit by uppercuts, and getting a good defensive position. But when he reaches out, don't reach back out with him. It's just a natural reaction, Joe. I see it. Where I see it a lot, Joe? In the gym when people spar. They never correct it in the gym. Okay, you got to correct those habits. When you see your fighters out there, when they get in the clinches and one guy reaches out to grab and tie you up, and the other one reciprocates by putting his hands out there, his arms out there to tie you up. I break that up real quick. I tell them, don't do that. Keep your elbows nice and tucked in. When you do that, Joe, there's nothing to grab. Then you can go to work. That's the number one way. You know what I mean? For a guy to tie you up. For a guy to prevent a guy from tying you up. And number two, Joe, you know what you do? You put your fucking forearm in his face. You know what I mean? When he tries to reach out and grab you, you stick your forearm in his face. Your lead forearm in his face. That's another one. You know what I mean? Or you put it right in his chest. You know what I mean? When he tries to grab you, just put your lead forearm right in his chest or his face, preferably in his face. If the ref lets you, get away with it.
Wow. And there it is, guys.
Yeah, Joe, well, how the hell are you going to effectively fight a guy inside if he keeps tying you up? And you're letting him, okay? That's what I'm trying to. You don't let him.
Well, the great Evander Holyfield used to actually beat the shit out of guys with his head whenever someone tried to tie him up. I remember he busted up poor John Ruiz, man, in the face with his bulbous battering ram of a head.
Joe, how come these bitch ass fighters nowadays, all they want to do is grab and hold you? If you look at the fighters in the past, like W.A.W, when he fought Holyfield, none of them clinched 15 rounds. Okay? Edwin Rosario versus Jose Luis Ramirez, Chavez versus Rosario. Oh, man, back then, Whitaker, man, they knew how to fight in the pocket, man. That's the biggest thing I've seen in the last 15, 20 years in boxing. The skill sets of learning how to fight in the pocket are pretty much evaporated. And that's why boxing could be so much more aesthetically pleasing if these fucking refs didn't allow all these clinching and holding. And,
or if trainers actually taught that kind of technique.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a huge – and the worst part about it is, Gogue, it breaks the flow of action. You have to separate and reset. It completely breaks the flow of action. So the fans, they get turned off by it. And, guys, I've actually heard casual fans talking about, why do I want to see boxing match? It's just a bunch of holding and running around.
Yeah.
That's what I hear the most. That and, wow, there are just too many titles. We don't even know who the champion is. And we'll get into that a little bit later on in the show. But the brilliant thing about this matchup is that this is indeed – now, I know Teixeira has a title. He's got the WBO title, and he's currently on the pine right now waiting for Oscar to get him a TV date. But
Who's
this,
that?
for all intents and purposes, is for all the marbles at 154 pounds. That's what
Patrick
makes
Teixeira.
this fight special. Yeah.
Okay.
Teixeira.
Hey, Joe, this is the real fight, not Patrick Teixeira. This is the real fight.
This is the real fight. This is for all the marbles at 154 pounds. This is the unification bout to determine the lineal or the ring 154-pound champion, right? So, Gogue,
this is it.
Yep, this is the big one. So, guys, it's going to take place Saturday, September 26th